Okay, so have you ever had this? You're trying to settle in, maybe watch something cool, like a space documentary, something you want to focus on, but your brain is just like running this nonstop news ticker, just every single thing you haven't finished yet.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That feeling is incredibly common for pretty much anyone trying to get anything done these days, I think.
Right. For me, it's always like that one email I glanced at but didn't answer, or maybe the laundry I managed to move but didn't actually wash. And oh God, the oat milk, always need to buy oat milk. It all feels equally urgent somehow. It's less a brain, more like, I don't know, a swarm of angry caffeinated gnats all holding little to-do lists.
Haha, yeah, that's a vivid image. And what's really interesting is that this very universal feeling actually has a name in psychology. So today we're doing a deep dive into something called the Zeigarnik Effect. Basically, why your brain clings on to unfinished business. And our goal isn't just to explain it, but, maybe figure out how to actually manage it better.
Okay, Zeigarnik Effect. So it's a known thing, not just me slowly losing my mind. But does just like putting a label on it actually help? Or is that just step one to, handling the mental chaos?
Definitely step one. Knowing what it is helps. So the effect is named after Bluma Zeigarnik. She was a psychologist back in the 1920s. The story goes she was sitting in this really busy cafe in Vienna, and she noticed something kind of odd about the waiters. They could remember these huge, complicated orders perfectly, like down to the last detail,
Uh-huh.
but only while the order was still active, still in progress.
Okay. And what happened after?
The second the bill was paid, poof, they completely forgot what the people had ordered. It was like their minds just wiped the slate clean.
Huh. So it wasn't just good memory then. What did she think was going on there, like cognitively?
Exactly.
Yeah.
She theorized that our brains maintain this kind of, well, she called it a special mental tension for any task that's incomplete or interrupted, an open loop. Your brain basically keeps it active, keeps it buzzing around in your short-term memory until you finish it. Once you get that closure, the brain's like, okay, done, and it releases the tension.
Right. Okay. That actually sounds like it should be useful, like a built-in reminder system. Hey, don't forget this.
Oh,
But
right.
I don't know, for me and maybe for a lot of people listening, it feels less like a helpful nudge and more like a design flaw that got way out of hand. It's not a gentle
Yeah.
reminder. It's like this blaring, shrieking alarm for everything. The oat milk alarm is just as loud as the reply to your boss immediately alarm. There's no volume control.
Yeah, exactly. So every single one of those open tasks becomes this kind of mental silent. It creates all this background noise, this psychic clutter you mentioned. It's the mental energy drain from just holding all those unfinished things in your head.
It really is. It feels like my brain has, I don't know, 57 tabs open constantly, and I can't even find the mouse to start closing them. And each one, even the tiny ones, is just slowly sucking away mental energy.
So naturally, when we feel that drain, the usual advice pops up,
Hmm.
right? The advice that sounds perfectly logical on the surface.
Oh, let me guess. Just finish it. Right. Power through, close the loop.
Exactly that.
Side.
Or thing.
Yeah, the just do it approach, which in my head translates to, okay, step one, magically summon a huge amount of starting energy, this like massive mental push just to overcome the inertia. Step two, somehow find the right mental files in this complete mess of an operating system.
Yeah.
Step three, do the thing perfectly. Step four, collapse from the effort. It's exhausting just thinking about it.
So what is it that's really stopping someone in that moment? Is it purely the lack of energy? Or is there like a deeper psychological hurdle that the Zeigarnik effect itself creates when a task feels too daunting?
I think it's this really cruel catch-22. The very thing that would make the anxiety go away actually doing the task needs the mental energy that the anxiety itself has already used up. It's like someone shouting down a well, hey, just climb out. Yeah, great advice, thanks. It completely misses the point of being stuck in the well.
Right. So you end up trapped in this cycle where at first maybe the pain of actually starting the task feels worse than the pain of that constant low-level hum of knowing it's undone.
Yeah, exactly. Until it's not low level anymore. Eventually that hum turns into like a full-blown death metal concert in your head. The anxiety gets so bad it finally pushes past the inertia, and then I just do the thing in this frantic, panic-fueled rush at like 11 o'clock at night. It's a terrible system. It's all just mental debt followed by desperate last-minute repayment.
Okay, so if just finish it is often, well, bad advice or just not feasible. What's the alternative? Well, this is where it gets interesting, maybe a bit counterintuitive, based on how people have adapted this research. The key idea isn't to fight your brain's urge for completion. It's to actually use it. You sort of channel the Zeigarnik effect by strategically leaving tasks open, but in a very specific, tiny, manageable way. You make the effect work for you.
Hang on. Channel it. Leave things open strategically. That sounds risky. My brain already feels like it's overflowing. How do you make sure strategically open doesn't just become even more chaos? Where's the line?
That's the crucial part. It's about how you leave it open. Let's take an example. Think about, say, a novelist. Apparently, many of them don't stop writing for the day when they finish a chapter. That feels like a natural stopping point, right?
No, seems logical. Clean break.
But instead, they often stop right in the middle of a paragraph, sometimes even mid-sentence.
Why would they do that? That sounds like it would just make the urge to finish it worse, thanks to the Zeigarnik thing.
But that's the point. It makes it easier to start again the next day. That little bit of Zeigarnik tension, that mental pull, is still there. But because the very next step is so incredibly obvious, just finish the sentence you were writing. The energy needed to start, that activation energy, is practically zero.
Yeah.
Not facing a blank page, you're just picking up exactly where you left off. It's like leaving little breadcrumbs for your future self.
Huh. Breadcrumbs. That's actually kind of brilliant. And you know what? I think I've sort of done something like that myself without realizing why.
Oh yeah, how so? What do you do? And what does it feel like?
I call it the Uncapped Pen Method. If there's like a form I need to fill out or sign, but I just cannot deal with it right then, I'll leave the format on the counter, but I'll put an uncapped pen right next to it.
Okay.
And it bugs me. It's an eyesore. It's this little tiny unfinished action just sitting there. It creates just enough E factor that eventually I have to deal with it. But the dealing with it part is made super easy because the very first step is just picking up the pen that's right there.
That is a perfect intuitive application of using the Zeigarnik effect. You've created the pull with the unfinished state, exactly. But you've made the barrier to re-entry, the next step, so tiny and obvious, it's almost effortless. That's fantastic.
So, okay, applying that, that email I was avoiding, instead of closing the draft and letting the guilt monster grow, I should have maybe just typed, "Hi, Sarah," or whatever, and then just walked away. That feels so wrong, but also weirdly smart, like leaving an open invitation instead of a closed door.
Precisely. You're shifting that nagging feeling from being this vague, diffuse distraction into a very specific, focused prompt for the next action. It channels the energy.
Okay, that's genuinely helpful for those active tasks, the things you're actually working on, like projects or emails. But what about the other stuff? That cloud of random things, the Miscellaneous Anxiety Cloud, I call it, buy oat milk, call the dentist, figure out what that weird noise is. Those don't really have a mid-flow state.
Ah, yes, the cloud.
Yeah.
The mental odds and ends. That's a different beast, you're right. For that kind of clutter, the best strategy is really about getting it out of your head entirely. Because you know the saying, your brain is for having ideas, not for holding them.
Yes, I totally agree with that. That's where, for me, the whole idea of an external brain comes in. I literally have a list on my phone just called brain dump. Not even to-do list that feels like too much pressure sometimes. It's just a parking lot. And honestly, the simple act of typing buy oat milk onto that list, it feels like I've made a little contract with myself. It's like telling that little security guard in my brain, okay, you can relax. It's logged. We got this.
And that actually works on a psychological level. By making a specific plan, even if the plan is just write it down here to deal with later, you give your brain a sense of closure, or at least progress. You've acknowledged the task and assigned it a next step. Even that step is check the list later. So the brain can kind of release that immediate tension. It knows it's captured, not forgotten.
The security guard gets to take his coffee break. The internal alarm stops ringing, at least for that item.
Exactly. So just to kind of wrap up the core ideas from our deep dive today, we basically got two main tactics for wrangling the Zeigarnik effect. First, for active tasks, you need to return to writing, coding, planning. Try stopping deliberately mid-flow. Leave a really small, obvious next step ready to go. Let that Zeigarnik pull work for you, making it easier to jump back in later without needing that huge energy burst.
Right. The breadcrumbs, or the uncapped pen, make the next step tiny. And second, for all that other mental noise, the random stuff floating around the oat milk, the errands, the vague worries, get it out of your head. Dump it onto an external list, your brain dump, whatever you call it. Outsource the holding task.
Because that nagging feeling, that constant mental ticker, it isn't actually a flaw in your wiring. It's just a built-in feature of how your brain works.
Yeah, a feature of the operating system that maybe nobody ever gave us the user manual for. So, okay, here's a little experiment for you, for everyone listening, for this week. Pick one thing, just one, An email you're stuck on, maybe a report, could even be a chore. Start it. And then intentionally walk away right in the middle of an action. Like literally leave the uncapped pen next to the form or the half-typed sentence on the screen. Just see. Observe yourself. Is it actually easier to come back to tomorrow? Give it a try. Be a scientist with your own amazing, sometimes chaotic brain.